Hello and welcome to this video. Now, I just leveled a character based on this build, so we'll talk about that, but I'll start with this. In the particular video, the person who uploaded this build guide wouldn't level with the build guide. They would play other skills instead because the skills suck. That is a big warning right there, but I did level it through with the guide, and let's get into how I found it. Now, we'll bring over the POB. This is the guide's POB. By the time you hit Act 10, round level 70, you have these notes. Now, it is based on Eviscerate, which is a retaliation skill, which means you need a block, so a lot of it goes into block. That does give you a tankiness, but it requires you to be hit to do the thing, so you need to be able to have that chance where you don't block to actually take the impact. That's where it gets some issues, but we'll get into that. So the essences, you start with the retaliation skill, then you come over to Determined Survivor, which increases your block. And then this is for more clearing. Once you end campaign, you get that. It helps with mapping. But yeah, this is the tree that you will get if you go to here. And this is the tree I ended up with after level 68, after the campaign. Now, the skill it recommends you start with, and you start with for quite a while, is Shield Crush. Now we have a look at the skills, because I have set some of these up. We have, don't need to disable, just take it off. Even end game, it only does 4k. So like, it, don't even bother. Sunder is where you want to go. This is how I set it up. There is a better way to set Sunder up. I just had these sockets, so I played with these. And concentrate effect for more area damage and stuff. It works. It does a decent amount of damage if we activate that and go into take that off. It does about 12k, but we're using Eviscerate and Crushing Fist as our retaliation skills to do all our damage. We'll have a look at a sort of what you, if you got the sockets and everything, go for. We got a 21k. This without any moving or anything, just you're guaranteed to get at least 21k and a 13.4 bleed. But you're using Eviscerate and Crushing Fist to do most of your damage. So we'll take that off and show you Eviscerate. Don't do that, enable it. Eviscerate is about 53k without moving. Now, the POB that it recommends does put moving on. If I move my thing, you can see it does say 53k. If you look at moving, it does 117,000 if they're moving, but you only got like a 10% chance for them to get an aggravated bleed without them moving from here. That's the only aggravated bleed chance that we get. So putting it on is just pure, oh, look at this, it looks awesome. It's not actually true, it's fake. Once you get Rage on hit, it's quite easy to get 30 up once you are hitting things. And endurance charges, same thing. Once you start hitting things, you get endurance charges. So it's pretty easy to keep them up. Now, I did actually, and Blood Magic, I did purely because the build says so. Don't. You don't have mana issues. Like, it's meant to fix mana issues, but it just gives you more survivability issues than it You don't have mana issues if you actually use proper skills and not the skills that don't do damage, so you're constantly using your mana because you aren't killing anything. But I also did another tree. If I we went into it differently, as if I was just going to tweak the tree. Now, with the exact same amount of points, we come up here, we take this axe node instead of these retaliation. We take this axe node, we'll put it on compare actually. You'll be able to see where I took it off. Instead of these retaliation, it's just cooldown, it's quality of life. We took the blood magic, the 20 life mana on block. Considering 20, it doesn't help. 20 when you're getting hit. Took this mastery off as well. And went the axe with the in blood stance. You're naturally in blood stance, so you don't have to have any stance changing skill. 2 rage on hit, so we pick up the melee on hit. That's through here somewhere. We pick it up somewhere. And picked up also 8% armor on endurance charge instead of the 20% armor for each different skill. And if you have a look at the POB, it's 62k. So it actually gives you more damage, and on moving, it's almost 150k. So, one, it's a subpar tree to level. 2, it uses skills that the person who uploaded the thing onto max roll wouldn't use. And then on top of that, you go where? You got to buy everything, and pretty much the only reason why I kept doing more and more damage as I went through was because I knew what I was doing. And the thing you got to watch out for, especially if you use Sunder, Sunder's damage can go up just having a good axe that does all kinds of damage. Eviscerate and Crushing Fist, you're pretty much just aiming for this. What I ended up with. Yep, I'm out of the way. Just a Fizz Res, and it rolled with lightning damage, but the Fizz Res, accuracy, lightning damage, that's all I ended up with. That is good enough to get you through. This shield I got, it's a cheap unique. Pretty much you're going to disenchant this if you weren't going to use it type thing. It's got 5 chance to block. It's got the cold res and max cold. So it's an evasion base. So it helps the build all over the place. And reflects cold damage. So yeah, like my gear's not exceptional. I'm actually running just what the sockets allow me, because like that's what you would do as a league start. You would run what your gear allows you, not by then of Act 10 you got a 6 link, you got 115 divine axe, you got everything else. Like I got a intelligence node, but just because my guy was a little daft and he didn't have the intelligence to actually use some stuff, so I had to run the intelligence. We got 2300 life, which we are using Eternal Blessing on Pride to stop us taking the just make sure it's the right tree. So 2600. So we got 2600, and we're using the Eternal Blessing to have no reservation. So we got the whole life pool to play with. Lab 2 was hard, not because of the damage or anything, because of the spikes, the blades, everything. Because you are capping your life, because you're blood magic, you don't have a very, very big health pool to play with. And the one thing that doesn't get discussed, and you should really know up front, most bosses need to hit you first. Now, if you got, like, say, 68% chance and 65 by the end of the campaign, that still leaves like 32, 35% chance for you to be hit and cop the damage. Now, if it's bigger than your health pool, or like little, and then a big one, you're dead. The block doesn't help. And yeah, so the actual, you need to be able to do damage without using your retaliation. That's where Sunder I was using so I could do damage without having to be hit. And if I got hit by something little, I'd more than likely get my retaliation. I would then do damage. So, yeah, you can't bank on this protecting you. This is, you're going to get hit, you're going to get these skills, but sometimes I was running around, I wasn't being hit. I was literally standing still, waiting for the thing to hit me, and it wasn't hitting me. I don't have evade. We take that off. We go, hits can't be evaded, and then the evasion rate can go into armor. So I can't evade, so they were just missing. I don't know how, but yeah. So I wasn't able to do any retaliation skills or anything for like half the time. You're either going through and then you're waiting to get hit, or you're using your other skills. So taking all this stuff off like I did, which is quality of life, this damage is actually less than this damage that puts on. So you can take this for better damage. You can put the armor per evasion, and if you run frenzy charges with the blood rage, which I wasn't doing because we weren't recovering enough health to actually warrant it. And then when we went blood magic, I wasn't going to degen my life pool. If you ran frenzy charges, then you get evasion, which then gets converted over to armor as well. I'm pretty sure it does stack because the Jade Flask, if we look at the items, I was running a Jade Flask, and it does increase our armor because evasion comes across to armor. So I was running a Jade Flask. Only because I didn't have an armor flask that was worth putting on at the time. So we'll take this, but I'll probably, in my mind, I'm actually going to probably play the unique jewel that minuses 70 to 80 res, but makes your capped res the highest max res you got. So at the moment that's cold with 81, I'd make it 82, 83, 84, and then shove on a sapphire flask, which does +5. So we would actually get pretty much spell cap on the resistances elemental wise with that, and we'd have to not worry about capping the rest of it because that jewel would do it. And I know for a fact you can get more than 70 to 80 over res to warrant that penalty, because my Templar, if I take off the weapon that reduces my resistances by 61%, I'm like 150, 200% over capped. So you can do it easily. And it's quite cheap to buy the things on trade if you're on trade. Or you solo self-found, you just need to look out for the mercs that have the high res, or pick up resistance bases on the ground and go resistance over something else. But you can do it quite easily in the end game. And yeah, you come up for spell suppression, some more life. By 81, you end up pretty much swapping out of blood magic to go into the end game because it's not viable to run blood magic in end game on this particular setup. So yeah, I'd recommend you run this tree. If you ran the exact same as everything else and you just ran this tree, and then you could swap over this and save yourself a couple of passive points and continue up the way that it describes to get more life, more strength, and all that, you can. But yeah, I'd recommend you'd follow this particular style. It'll give you more damage, and some of the useless nodes that are quality of life, like they're good quality of life things, but you can change into that when you are pretty much just retaliation skill back to back to back to back back to back, and not retaliation skill waiting, 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 because you've got to get hit. You need the actual survivability, because we got no energy shield. Under blood magic, we got no mana. So we're pretty much just looking at life as our whole defensive sort of pool. And fizz hit, we don't have a massive fizz hit. And don't bank on it moving. Like, you're going to take out the trash whether they're moving or not. The bosses, most of the bosses don't move. So, yeah, don't bank on them moving. You're not going to get that damage on regularly. Once you get bigger and better links, you'll get fortified through the fortified gem, which, as you can see, physical, we're still quite weak. But once we get the next ascendancy, which is down here, we then start getting a bit more blockage, but we still can't take a physical hit. So it's not really feasible to just go in there and expect a tank unless you like spec'd into it more. So I wouldn't bother with this, these, and the few other things that I showed I changed in my tree. Like, I ran the particular build recommended as is, but yeah, I'd take that with the 2 rage on hit with axes. I'd take this with the 30% increased damage while in blood stance. And I'd take the 8% increased armor per endurance charge. And if you're running frenzy charges, it would give you more evasion. I'll see if the config does it. So we got 6% damage reduction. So yeah, frenzy charges would give us, it does stack. So let's say we built up 5. So yeah, like, you get the bonus from frenzy charges as well. Obviously, the frenzy charges also give you the inherent bonus of the frenzy charge, so you don't need to necessarily spec into them, because this gives you extra damage, but that's a lot of passive points just to take that. You're probably better off, if you really wanted that, to actually anoint it, but that's only if you really want to. I wouldn't bother anointing that one. But yeah, so there is that way. You can go into that. You can do frenzy charges on top of endurance charges, and then increase your damage sort of passively by doing that. And your frenzy charges would help passively in your armor as well. So you can run like that. But yeah, as far as a retaliation build guide goes, like, this wasn't an original, because I know that for a fact. When retaliation skills first got introduced to the game, and everyone was trying to figure out, is it worth because the Sensi obviously got changed towards retaliation, and everyone was trying to figure out, is it worth it? I'm not sure if he made a video or not, but Criparian is his full YouTube and Twitch name. Crip created a Retaliation blocks-based build that pretty much made you use this shield as well when it was brand new. It might cost a bit now because everyone's got a bit of a thing with it. So yeah, he ran this shield with some other stuff and pretty much was indestructible. By the end game, it was pretty much infinite sort of damage. Like the config, you were blocking so much that when you didn't block, you got extra chance to block and all that. So Criparian pretty much made an invincible sort of one pretty much first. I didn't. He was. Everyone else was looking at other stuff because block is boring at the time. Like no one really wanted to just go shield, block, retaliate. No one really understood the skill that much, so it was a bit boring. Didn't want to do it. Crip went into it because it was different, weird. So he figured, can I make a full block? How tanky a full block? And you're just going around deliberately being hit and doing it. So Crip made pretty much the first one and the more or less the best one. Everyone else has been copying and making it trash, or adding stuff or doing stuff weirdly just to be different when they shouldn't. Like just this changes, adds way more damage, and yeah, you don't have to take all these notes. You can actually take some of this, and I wouldn't be surprised if we take that off, activate that. Yeah, Sunder doesn't get any worse off if we disable that and put the more ideal Sunder. We're doing 37k with that, and that's just our backup. This is if we just going through clearing trash out of the way. This is just backup, just get out of the way, get out of the way. And then, yeah, we're leap slamming and sundering. So another thing you get that is widely used, purely because it's a sort of blood-based thing, is Blade Storm, which is like 23k. And you can have max of 3. So, yeah, like, it's not that good a big a deal. Well, we switch over to the actual right skill on that, but yeah. If we look at that, yeah. Like there is aspects to this that is just purely fluff. So yeah. So don't follow the build as far as skills with a shield crush and everything. Go Sunder. Sunder's level 12, you get it. It's very easy to keep I was one-handed Sunder the whole way. It's quite easy to go through the campaign with one-handed Sunder whilst using the Retaliation, because Retaliation is based off your weapon. And Eviscerate needs to have a shield, so you have to have a one-hander. So you go one-hander and shield, and you go the axe is the easiest. But yeah, it is easy to keep progressing with Sunder regardless of how you're going with your Retaliation. So pretty much that's the review of it all. And yeah, what I'd recommend you actually do versus the fluff that it tells you to do, and sort of don't bank on certain things happening. And if we just like, drop it down to like a standard boss, and then no boss, like the Sunder is pretty much constant damage for just getting stuff out of your way, whilst you're using Eviscerate to do all your damage. And we go config for that, and yeah, like it's pretty much a standard sort of damage, so you don't have to worry about, oh, am I doing this, am I doing that? It's pretty much a standard sort of damage number that just excels with your weapon. So the better one-handed weapon you have that's fizz based, the better weapon and damage you get. But yeah, let me know what you think and everything. Tell me whether you've done a Eviscerate or a Retaliation skill based build and how you went about it. But yeah, that's my sort of go through it, and catch you next time, and goodbye.